What is up, folks? You are listening to the Texture Pop podcast, unprofessionalism at its finest. I am your beloved host, Chris Acharya.
The best host we ever had.
Taking some weight off of Sam's shoulders as he's got that interactive friction going, which you all should totally watch.
It's pretty good, I've heard.
It's a pretty good show.
So
I had one person tell me they like it once.
Yeah, I liked it.
There you go.
Up in this motherfucking house, we've got Sam Callahan.
What's up, everybody? This is this is weird. Being in a passive role all of a sudden, but
It's been a while.
I'm just gonna sit back and relax and just think about all the not work I'm gonna do.
Oh yeah, kick your feet up.
Yeah. Now I'm gonna lean real far away from the mic because I'm relaxing too much.
Sam has feet? When was this the case?
I think I posted a picture of my feet on Twitter once.
I don't know if you noticed,
TMI?
Brandon, but human beings have feet.
The average human being has 2 feet and 10 toes.
Are you sure about that?
Brandon, should we be worried about your feet?
And the guy who's all about feet, Mr. Brandon Carey.
It's all
I
about
can
those
see
feet.
people's souls.
Oh man.
Wait, are we talking about Dark Souls? Oh,
Sure,
yeah.
we'll call it that.
So we don't have any viewer questions this week, right?
Correct.
Nobody
Okay.
wanted to ask a shit. Wait, I have a viewer question.
Oh, sure, yeah. What?
How are you guys doing? That's my viewer question.
Doing fine.
Okay. That's
I'm
my
doing
viewer
okay.
question for the week.
But remember, folks, if you want to ask us anything, or hell, if you just want to hear us say shit on the air, or read something stupid, or maybe have a humorous story you want to share, feel free to email us at thetexturepop@gmail.com. We look at it, we like to read it, or hell, maybe you want to leave us a comment in the bottom of this. You can totally do that.
You can
We
also
might read
submit
it.
questions there. We'll probably
Yeah.
read it. I get notification.
Or even on the Twitter at thetexturepop.
That's right.
As well as, our own individual Twitters, follow or don't, or just follow the Texture Pop, because we look at that. Trust us.
Believe me when I
So-
tell you this.
So getting right into news. First up, new Deus Ex game.
Indeed.
It's called, what is it, Mankind Divided?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And this is the very first Deus Ex game to have a recurring protagonist. Adam Jensen from Human Revolution will be reprising his role as the lead character in Mankind Divided.
the character that people still remember in recent years.
Yeah, that's actually like the first time Deus Ex games ever had a old protagonist come back as a leading character.
Yeah,
Hey,
and
granted-
it's gonna be kind of weird considering the ending of Deus Ex, or at least a couple of the endings.
Yeah.
Well, it's no more awkward than from Deus Ex 1 to Invisible War. Of course,
To where,
Invisible War
like-
is not a good game, so...
I know some people that like it.
Well,
I remember,
people are wrong.
I remember the first ever graphics card I got from my computer was a Radeon card, and it came with a copy of Invisible War.
Nice.
I played like 10 minutes of it, and I was like, I don't get what the hell's going on.
I have all those on my Steam account.
It's a conspiracy, Sam. It's all conspiracy.
I didn't even get that far.
But according to news story, I think, is there projected when this is coming out, or
No.
so all we have is an announcement?
Which means probably holiday
And a
next
trailer.
year. Oh yeah, and a trailer, which I did see. Which you'll have to pardon me if I have some flashbacks to Metal Gear Rising, looking at some of the character designs in that. 'Cause
Eventually all cyborgs look the same.
And if you have Game Informer, there was a cover story on the game.
so still not a whole lot of new details other than the fact that if you liked Adam Jensen, guess what? He's coming back.
Apparently, a lot of people said the combat in the first game was pretty bad. I wouldn't know. I stealthed it most of the time. But they're trying to make it so that both combat and stealth are equally viable in the new game.
Yeah, I played
know
Human
from
Revolution Director's Cut, and I didn't kill anybody in that entire game. So
Yeah,
Yeah.
I know. I think I still don't own Director's Cut. I don't know. It's a funny story. I was almost tempted to buy the Wii U version of that. They have the fucking Director's Cut on Wii U.
That was the first console to have the director's cut version, if I recall correctly.
Yeah, because people made a big deal where they were like, what about the PC version, which is like the way to play that game.
Yeah.
And then eventually they
Yeah.
said, oh yeah, it's coming to PC. I thought it was a free
Yeah,
update or something like that, or maybe it was like $10 or something.
It was like $5 if you already own the game.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think it was like $10 if you own only the base game, like $5 if you also own the Missing Link DLC, which is how most games do it. Something like that, but it was super cheap. Worth playing.
I know some of the things that we could tell from the trailer, like some of the new abilities that he has, like he just throws up a fucking nano shield that looked really cool, like near the end of it.
Is it like the shield that the guy from Fuse has?
Guy from who?
Fuse, the game that we were supposed to play soon.
No,
once I get my copy in.
We're not. Yeah, we haven't gotten to that yet. But no, thankfully, this is a lot more cooler. It was
Also, fuck you too.
Just in general.
Facts are not unrelated.
This is just a general fuck you too.
Well, not just us, but your friend Ryuta-kun. I mean, he's also getting in on this madness with us.
Yeah, fuck him too, of course. I thought that was implied.
Just everybody involved.
How about fucking Insomniac or EA, you know?
Yeah, fuck them too. Yeah.
Especially fuck them.
Yeah. For releasing this game. Also, fuck Amazon for making this Prime eligible.
Yes.
I was able to get this game in 2 days.
Also, I do have the director's cut. Awesome. I should install that sometime.
It's pretty good. It basically fixes the boss battles.
Which was the biggest problem that everyone had at that game by far.
Yeah.
The developers also promised to not outsource the bosses in the new Deus Ex game.
Oh, right. I forgot about that. That was the thing they did that led to that very debacle.
Yeah, they couldn't do the bosses their way in time, so they outsourced another company to do it.
And it became a nightmare. Oh, man. I'm interested to see it, if it's just like a refinement of Human Revolution, but I'm also curious about Adam Jensen as a character, I suppose, because to a certain degree, you have to be able to roleplay whatever Adam Jensen you want. So that means that he couldn't really have too much of a defined character up until maybe the end of the game. So I'm kind of curious what they're going to do with this.
Yeah, like, I know, like, some of the stuff that I played of it, it was like, it's like the beginning of the game, he's not really too happy about having to get these cybernetic limbs and everything. But, like, some of the dialogue choices I went with, where I was like, you know what? These cybernetic limbs are pretty cool. I love having sunglasses built in my head. And I still want that. I don't care who says what. I want that to be a real thing. I want sunglasses in my head.
They made a VG Cats comic that joked about that.
I'm sure they did. This is just so ridiculous.
It was like, we can rebuild him. And then they had him almost complete. And then Serap's like, you know what? There is one thing that is missing. Then they installed sunglasses in, and then you had a fanboy squee.
That's like, that would be like the best shit ever. Just have your sunglasses just pop on and off like that. I would love that shit. I would never lose them again.
That's almost too cool for school.
If anything, I would forget I have it. It's like, oh, did I lose my sun? Oh, wait.
That almost makes you too awesome McCool, dude.
Man, I would love that. Just as long as you don't have like a pair of sunglasses that are just going to go out of style, then you're stuck with those like in your head. Unless you can just like upgrade them, you know?
I should not have sprung for the purple shades.
Oh no, why?
These were really in at the time I got them, okay?
That just sounds like a nightmare of future fashion, doesn't it? Like you augment your body to look a certain way, and it's like, well, that's now out of fashion.
This
Black is not in this year.
That was actually a plot point in the original Deus Ex game.
Was it really?
No, because the old Augs looked kind of ugly compared to the nano augmentation Augs. They looked still kind of like people.
As a brief tangent, sadly this reminds me of a joke Patton Oswalt had when he was talking about how like there used to be like these reality shows like Celebrity Makeover where people would get like honest to God surgery to make them look like celebrities. You know, because fuck developing a personality or hobbies. I want somebody to take a knife to my flesh to make me look like somebody in the movies, right? But he was talking about, like, imagine if something like that had existed back in, like, the 1980s. There'd be people walking around looking like fucking Hall & Oates right now, you know? Like, just, like, ugly people back in the 80s that were somehow really famous.
Oh, God.
That's what this reminds me of just like, yeah, I look like Oates from Hall & Oates. Life's all right. I'm on a pussy train and it's never derailing. It's never gonna stop.
And then the 90s happen, and everybody, it's the worst day ever.
Oh man, that's totally what that reminds me of. Like I got these augments. It's just so in this year. Next year, you're just fucked.
That would be I'm kind of curious if Human Revolution had a plot point like that, because I feel like it did at some point.
Human Revolution had pretty much any possible augmentation plotline you could think of in there somewhere.
Yeah.
Which is good. Because there's a lot of potential for that stuff there.
Although it did have that issue where it had a lot of it said a lot of things regarding augmentation without actually saying anything in particular about augmentation. Kind of like how BioShock is quote unquote about objectivism, but not really.
Yeah. I'm sure. Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of potential you could go with that, but I'm sure we could be on this all day. But,
yeah.
So let's not do that.
I'm excited.
Yeah, it's good. It's good there's a new Human Revolution game. I'm totally looking forward to it.
And the other big news story for this week is that a new study came out that revealed that the new Tomb Raider reboot, if you include all the sales up to the point of a couple months back, it is the best-selling Tomb Raider game out of all of the Tomb Raider games in the entire franchise history.
Which is saying a lot, because when the original Tomb Raider came out, it sold millions of copies.
Now,
yeah.
And my question is, I'm wondering if that includes also, like, when that game originally released, as well as, like, the definitive editions that they started putting out on, like, Xbox One and PS4? Okay.
That includes all versions of the game.
I bet Square is still disappointed.
They're not anymore, because because it's profitable.
Well, that, and they did decide, hey, we're gonna put money into a follow up to this. So,
yeah,
published by Microsoft.
Also, speaking of Tomb Raider, you can watch Interactive Friction Season 2. We played Tomb Raider 2013.
And we're almost finished with it.
Yeah.
So you won't have to wait a whole lot longer for the finale.
Yeah.
Now's a good time to start, what we're trying to say.
Anytime's a good time to start.
But especially now.
But, as somebody, I myself, I played through that game, and I know I thoroughly enjoyed my time with it. And while I have played a number of games in that series, the recent Tomb Raider game, that was really the first one that I ever played through to completion. Like, I never felt bothered to get more than, like, a third through previous games.
I think part of that is that modern game design makes games a lot more accessible than they used to be, as far as controls and save points and
it was also
puzzles.
Marketed to a different group than the original Tomb Raider games were. In all honesty, like it wasn't really marketed as like a return to the old Tomb Raider games. It was marketed as a reboot for the whole franchise.
Yeah, like they wanted to do something different, and also Garrett's joining us. Hey,
my headset is on.
Yay!
Excellent.
We're talking about new Tomb Raider and how it is the best-selling game of its franchise.
And units sold. The new Tomb Raider game, Tomb Raider 2013, is the best-selling Tomb Raider game of all time.
Nice. Yeah, I did. I heard that, but it didn't really process with me until much later.
Yeah, because you played through that game, didn't you?
Yes.
Like it?
I really did. I thought it was really good, and that's why I'm a little pissed that the other one is going to be exclusive to something. I'm not going to be able to play.
Xbox One.
Xbox One, yeah.
And 360, I think.
Not entirely. It's going to come to other platforms.
It's a timed exclusive.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
it'll probably end up coming to PC. Whether or not it'll be coming to PS4 or PS3 is still nebulous.
I'm sure it will. If Sony, I'm sure Square would not say no to, like, if other companies are like, if Sony
it's
came up
published
with
by Microsoft Studios, though, which is like that's the sticking point that concerns me because
I thought it wasn't published by them, but they did the marketing for it.
I could have swore I saw a story where they were the publisher of that game.
We'd have to look into that.
Of course, that doesn't necessarily mean all doom and gloom because Mass Effect was published by them as well, and then eventually came to the PS3.
Yeah.
Admittedly, years later, once EA got their hands on the franchise.
After EA had gotten hold of it.
Yeah. If it's a Square Enix owned anyway, that's probably a little more likely it'll become the PS4 at some point. It's hard to tell.
Yeah. So, but I think I think this is. We can all agree this is good news that it has sold well enough, and I would look forward to seeing the follow up when it comes on PC.
Definitely.
Yeah, when it comes on PC. So I have to see how that goes and maybe get another really good seller.
So I guess it's time for the usual shenanigans.
As we call them.
Did anyone else hear that?
What?
yeah. Fun fact, folks, we're using Mumble to record the show, so hopefully we don't hear like too many weird dings that Mumble tends to do.
You can turn those off, by the way.
Yeah,
okay.
I just heard Siri. I just heard Siri like, yes. Okay, cool.
Siri.
I thought you guys turned those off.
No, it's like, who the fuck is this? I just hear like.
You might want to do that. You might want to do that like immediately.
Okay.
That's cool.
We still have a few kinks to work out, but this is generally better than Skype.
Dear God, yes it is. It's
no compression, baby.
Oh man. So getting right into it then. So Sam.
Oh God.
You've been all up in that Dark Souls scholar.
I've been scholaring and sinning apparently. It's
now,
a pretty good life.
And I really don't think we have anybody better to ask, as it is pretty much, anybody on this show knows you are the authority when it comes to Dark Souls 2.
And Souls games in general.
I think I checked my Dark Souls 2 progress, what was it, like yesterday on Twitter, and it was like 154 hours or something like that.
Jesus fucking Christ.
Like at the time of this recording, you were already talking about you've had this game, you had Scholar in the New Sin for like a day, and you've already gotten like halfway through it.
Well, I got it like when it first came out, which I guess was like last week or so, and I played like, the first 3 bosses, put it down because I was going to play with a friend of mine, and then he started playing on his own, so I was like, alright, cool. So then last night I picked it back up, and then I got like to the halfway point, which means I've beaten probably 7 more bosses, maybe 10. Like,
jeez.
Jeez.
Once you play through that game so many times, you just know where everybody is.
But
even
I
if
think,
the items
I
move
think they
around,
said
but
that
the
they
bosses are
changed a
still
lot
there.
in the new DLC where not everything is where it used to be, or they changed a lot of things up.
Yes and no. Like, there are some item placements that are just gone, like where I normally find the Dark Armor, which is one of the cool armor sets that's a nod to Dark Souls 1, is gone. Where it usually is. But I did notice that early on, there seems to be this problem where they identify fixing the Dark Souls 2 problem with just putting more enemies in there. Like, when you play the early parts, it's like there's twice as many guys wherever, any enemies are, and it's a real bummer. But then I hit this point where I went to the Shaded Woods, which is a area that's sort of like a mossy, ruined area, and an enemy type is just completely gone from there. Like, there's 2 of them, and they're hard to find, where there used to be like 16 of these sort of like lion guys, but now they're all just petrified, because that's supposed to be what happened.
So why don't they just tell the truth?
About what?
They're lion guys. So why don't they just tell the truth?
Oh, boo!
Brandon, you're fired.
Oh.
We're kicking you off this podcast. We're voting you off the island.
Fucking...
The tribe has spoken?
Just keep going. Just keep going. Don't encourage him.
I hate everything. Just want to jump
keep
out
going.
this window. Anyway,
About Dark Souls.
it's
Sins.
I haven't gotten to like the Aldia, who's the new guy yet. Well, I think it's Aldia, which would make sense because they reference him constantly in Dark Souls 2 Vanilla, but you never actually meet him. But as far as I've gotten, like, a lot of it's the same, but it's just the small, minute differences. Like, there's a couple of new weapons. They changed, like, one of the major enemies as far as where he was, which kind of makes sense, geographically speaking. But, as far as I've gone, it's just like, oh, there's a few more spiders there. The cling ring isn't here anymore. There's a dragon here where there wasn't one before. When we were talking over Mumble the other day, you guys probably remember that I just kept shouting random crap because
Yes,
normally when I go into Dark Souls 2, I know exactly what's in any given room. So anytime there's something different, it's terrifying.
Yeah, if there's anybody that knows the fucking enemy placement in the game, it's you. So, and I think even you kind of came away with this impression that the people who made Scholar of the First Sin, like they're kind of trolling people who know the layout.
Yeah.
And surprisingly enough, this reminds me of when Capcom they did a remake of the original Mega Man X. If anybody remembers this, it was on the PSP.
Yes.
I don't remember this at all.
What was it? Mega Man Powered Up, I think is what it was called. It was like the little chibi one, right?
It was something, yeah.
This is jogging no memory of mine.
I think
Nobody remembers this?
No, I don't.
think
Sincerely
I know
don't.
what you're talking about.
Sorry, I lagged out for a second there. So, like Mega Man X, they remade it for the PSP. What they did was it was called Maverick Hunter X. So I really ended up liking it as somebody that played a lot of Mega Man X, but it was this kind of the same thing of they changed the placement of like the power-ups and where some stuff is, and people like obviously who knew the original Mega Man X, now they had to rediscover where that shit is again. So I mean, that's kind of, and I think it's good that they do that. You don't want to buy, like, especially the way they market it, I mean, Sam, would you or would you not feel disappointed if you played this version and it's like, oh, everything is exactly where it is, all this really adds, it's just a few new things, and meh. Like,
yeah, like, I would definitely be disappointed if it was a sort of thing where it was like, it's a Game of the Year edition, so it's got all the DLC and, like, some new lighting. You know, just, that's me personally, I'm sure for some people that'd be fine. But, it's definitely interesting that they changed it up. And I guess, in some sense, I'd rather be disappointed by that than disappointed by them changing nothing. Because, like, early on, it's not that great, but later on, they do some really interesting mix-ups as far as, like, enemy placement.
Yeah, I mean, it's like this thing of you want to come out with a quote-unquote enhanced version. How do you incentivize people who have already put dozens of hours into this to buy this one?
Yeah, and I think they probably had to straddle that line of, like, trying to gain new people with it, which means, you know, you couldn't just make it extra hard mode, and also trying to grab the people who've played hundreds of hours, this means it couldn't be exactly the same. Mm-hmm. So they definitely seem to settle somewhere in the middle, where some parts are... I guess I wouldn't say some parts are more difficult, but it's really hard for me to say because I'm just so used to things. But there are more possibilities for areas to be difficult as far as you can... Like, one thing they changed is, apparently this was a limitation of the consoles back then, is the enemies would leash very, very quickly, which just means that they would walk back to their starting position after you ran away for a while. They would do that notoriously quickly, so you could easily walk back, like, maybe 10 steps and they just walk back. In this case, they don't leash at all, no matter what you do. Oh. So I just did a thing where I just run past enemies like I normally do, and then when I try to go through the fog door, I turn around and there are 15 people following me. Because none of them went back to their starting position. They will follow you throughout the entire level.
Oh, wow. So you have to deal with that shit.
Yeah, it's kind of terrifying, because you just can't run past anything anymore unless you can really fucking sprint.
Man.
It's from my perspective, it's actually just kind of cool just to see, like, the new weapons and such. Like, there's a character named Vengarl, who is like this really giant dude who you find in the woods as a severed head who talks to you, and now you can.
I know that.
Yeah. So now you can actually buy his weapons, which are basically just a nice scimitar and a short sword.
Weapons from Lord Vinny.
Yeah, Vinny
Caravella.
He's probably playing it.
My cousin Vinny.
Sure. Trying to think if any of the bosses do anything different, but not to my knowledge. All that seems the same. So I'll
like their behavior, or
yeah, I don't notice like any new moves or anything. They don't seem to be that much different that way. I'm definitely curious. I was talking to a friend of mine who's playing this for the first time as his first version of Dark Souls, and we might actually do like a small podcast about like what the experience difference is between us. Like, what did he think about certain areas, it being his first time ever versus me playing through it for the 5th time now. But it's super cool.
Sam, is he lagging out from anyone else?
Yes, me too.
Okay.
No. Well, good thing I'm recording.
Yeah.
So other than that, because just in the idea of not playing any new games, I also played DMC Devil May Cry Definitive Edition.
Yes.
Yeah, I've been hearing about that, and I kind of want to give it a shot because I actually like DMC. God damn it! But
it's a better version of DMC
one too. Yeah, it wasn't that bad.
People have a lot of complaints. It seemed like most of the complaints were about either.
We all like that game.
Yeah.
Mostly,
people seem to warm up to it after it came out for a while.
And a lot of people who didn't like it just didn't like that it wasn't the old Devil May Cry games.
Yeah, they were like, I don't like. I don't like how
I beat it. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, everyone was like, I don't like how awesome Dante looks now. It's like, all right.
So Definitive Edition.
I admit I don't like the haircut.
I like it.
I copy that haircut.
I don't mind it.
I had a screenshot of that game. I was like, can I have my hair like this? That's how I get my hair cut
now.
Oops.
Very nice.
So I played through this game again, and I tried out some of the new stuff just to give it a shot as far as, like, the whole thing with this version is that they actually have a similar idea to like Scholar of the First Sin, where you can enable something called hardcore mode, which basically just remixes what enemies show up and their behaviors, and it's harder, noticeably. Like, if you turn it on and, like, you know, I think it was, like, level 4 or something, they show up an enemy before even the cutscene where he first appears in the game.
Oh, shit.
So it's basically like, look, you've played this game before, you want to get right to it. Like, you don't want to do, like, the really simple guys for 4 levels. Other than that, there was the turbo mode, which is a classic mainstay of the series that increases game speed by 20%, which is cool. And one of the things I found interesting that I remember Chris complaining about before, and a lot of people did, is that in the original Devil May Cry, you have angel and demon weapons, and there are enemies that
I hated that.
They're basically color-coded enemies that if you hit it with the opposing weapon, it just knocks straight off of them, and it breaks your combo. So in this version, you can actually hit them with any weapon type, it just does less damage.
Yeah, I think that's a good thing.
That's a godsend.
Yeah,
because that was my biggest problem with the first reboot game. It broke my combos all the time because I'd be using the right weapon for the bad guy I was trying to hit, but then some other guy would get in the way, and then it would break my combo, and I was mad.
Yeah.
That was a pain in the ass.
So in this case, it'll do less damage, and at least from what I've seen, you can't launch enemies using the wrong weapon type. Like, you can't, if you remember, like, the giant axe that has the launcher attack, you can't launch up the angel enemies with that, basically. But you can't hit them. Other than that, they do also have a couple of new modes, like there's a Gods Must Die mode, which goes above Dante Must Die and below Heaven or Hell, which is just kind of like very, very hard mode. Before Dante, I believe, Dante Does God Must Die, Heaven or Hell is that everybody dies in one hit, so it's right below that. And also, once you beat the game, you also unlock Must Style mode as another modifier, in addition to Turbo and Hardcore. And with Must Style on, that means that all enemies won't take damage unless you have a triple S ranking in your style. So if you do that with Hardcore mode, which I forgot to mention before, Hardcore mode also makes it extremely difficult to bring up your style meter. It's more akin to like the first Devil May Cry, because in DMC it's notoriously easy to get up to triple S rank. Not in like the level, but in style. So if you enable that with Must Style, you're looking for a really fucking hardcore game, and add on 20% game speed plus remixed enemies that do more damage.
It's up to you to determine how hard you want it to be.
Yeah, it's all modifiers, just check boxes.
Sadly enough, this reminds me of remember when that first Ghost Rider movie came out and they had a licensed game on PS2?
Oh yeah,
I remember watching two best friends play through that.
Yeah, and like they had that licensed PS2 game, and it was basically a God of War / DMC clone, which wasn't terrible. It was just super mediocre, and I played through it as like a curiosity, and like I actually beat it. But the other thing about it is that it had this thing where there would be enemies that have like a shield, and you have to get a combo to a certain amount before the shield breaks, and then you can damage them. Like that's what it reminds me of. Like you must get Stylen to break this dude's shield, or
I do remember that. Yeah.
It was like
it's essentially like that. I've not tried it myself, but I've seen footage of it. But so yeah, I played through it again. You might have also heard that they changed basically 2 bits of cutscenes because, and the reason I heard about that
censorship.
Yes, because people called censorship.
According to some random person I don't give a shit about.
It was over 2 things. One was a line in the first cutscene where the lady friend of Mundus says, "You're gonna bend the world over and make it your bitch," some kind of sexual-related joke, and they took it out because they said it wasn't really in line with what they wanted.
They said it wasn't funny either.
Yeah, it's not.
Which is not. Yeah, she's like, the world is your bitch. She says, the world is your bitch. Now all you have to do is grab by the hair, bend it over, and then he looks out the window, and she's like, what? What's wrong?
Yeah.
I'm like, funny.
And they also, funny thing is, they took out a bit at the very end of the last cutscene where Dante's eyes glowed in sort of a Devil Trigger mode, which is supposed to be like a sequel implication, because, that doesn't look like it's gonna happen.
Yeah, because
Capcom.
Because fucking Capcom.
They don't know a good thing when they say it.
Wait, they got rid of his
I still
eyes
have
glowing?
so much.
Why?
No, it's like at the very end, he turns around in a way that says, "Hey, check it out, we got a sequel coming." Like at the very end of most movies when like a character looks at the screen and does something that's like, "Hey, can't wait for the next one. It's like they took that out. So basically the scene ends with him and Kat just like walking out off screen, basically.
Wanted, what the fuck have you done lately?
Yeah.
I actually like that goddamn ending a lot.
Yeah. But
So,
like I still have like so much sympathy for Ninja Theory because they did an amazing job, in my opinion.
They did. I
developing
agree.
this fuck. The things that were wrong about it was basically just Capcom and what they wanted, and then it's like, oh well, you didn't sell 1 million copies, so we're not having you do another one. As a matter of fact, we're not having any Western developers touch our franchises again. Like, fuck off, Capcom.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, because that was not too long afterwards, and when they were like, oh, we're disappointed with the sales of it, blah blah blah. But then it's like you released this digital definitive edition, probably because it didn't really cost them too much money to do that. But
no, and like in the case of like say Last of Us Remastered, things like that, if you haven't played it before, this is the version, especially because this is the first time on consoles it's running at 60 frames, which for a game like that is completely necessary.
Yes. Angry Joe was like, yeah, game running at 30 frames a second.
Again.
Yeah, playing the game on PC, I absolutely need it on 60 frames a second, or at least like 45 or so. Yeah.
You generally want 60. Really, the only complaint I'd have about the game that sticks around is something that can't be fixed, which is just Dante. I watched a video recently where somebody said the problem with Dante isn't necessarily how he is, but the fact that he feels split between two personalities. Because if you remember the initial trailer and the concept art that I went and looked at after I beat the game, the initial Dante was this very scrawny, very like head tilted low, smoking cigarettes, very quiet person.
Yeah. He
And
was
then
a punk rocker.
I guess just because of Capcom or just I'm guessing fan reaction from the first set of trailers, they're like, I want Dante to be the really kooky, like really sarcastic Dante. So he really feels torn between this, where he has really sensitive character moments, but then he also has like a scene where he punches a guy in the face and then just says "fuck you."
Fuck you!
Yeah. But like there's like one scene that I had to think of when I thought about this character problem, which is like there's a scene where he's going into the club to get Mundus' girl, and he gets stopped by the bouncer who goes like, you're not on the list, and he just just like punches him right in the face, and the guy falls over, and it's like you could have just ended that scene with just him walking in, and that would have played to that kind of character they're initially going for, just a really stoic, I don't give a fuck about anybody, doesn't say much. But instead they had to extend it where he grabs the clipboard and he says, I'm on the list now, and writes fuck you on it. Like, yeah, it's very much like them, Ninja Theory, trying to get that old Dante, but because they had to do it like halfway through, it feels really half-assed. It's definitely the worst part about the game, but it's a small price to pay for a really awesome game.
Yeah, it plays really good, and I really enjoy it. It's fun.
I don't know if story is why you go to a Devil May Cry game in the first place.
No, but it's just like, it just makes the cutscenes a little cringeworthy to watch sometimes.
Yuka fill her dark soul with lore.
So
yeah. And that's all I played. I don't think I played like an original fucking game this week. I just played remixes.
A friend told me that Devil May Cry, the reboot, is bad, but Devil May Cry 2 never happened.
It's true.
I like the reboot. God damn it, I like the reboot a lot.
Like they want to act like there was never a bad DMC Devil May Cry game with old Dante. It's like, well, what about the second one? I drink to forget about it. Like,
yeah, that's what I was told, is that Devil May Cry the reboot is bad, but DMC 2 never happened.
That does remind me, though, before I stop, just in case you guys don't know this, or in case our listeners don't know this, they are actually re-releasing Devil May Cry 4. DMC4 Special Edition. Yes. Which will like remix moves, new weapons, and it also allows you to play as Lady and Trish from Devil May Cry 1 and 3. And they'll have their unique combat styles as well.
Cool.
So I'm looking forward to that, because I kind of liked DMC4 originally, but I'd be really curious to play it again.
I thought it was alright. I got a little bored because
the biggest thing I remembered about.
Yeah.
I remember the biggest thing I remembered about DMC4 was like Johnny Young Bosch, who played Nero.
Yeah.
Who was like their supposed like next gen Dante kind of, but obviously that didn't work out. But still, Johnny Young Bosch.
I mean, at least they're trying, man. Between that and DMC, like they're at least trying to do something new with it.
That's not the same fucking thing we've seen before 3 times now.
In that case, like it was actually kind of interesting because DMC Dante is almost kind of like a combination of Nero and DMC4 Dante, because I had to remember this when I looked up a video of it recently, is that DMC4 Dante is pure kooky. Like, he is, like, not at all serious, whereas Nero is pretty serious 90% of the time. So it's kind of like they just decided, instead of having the same character pull both roles, let's just separate them outright. And then DMC definitely felt like they were trying to mash them back together, but it just didn't work out the same way.
Nope.
I don't know, I would like to see a new game with Nero, I'd like to see a new one with new Dante, but my guess is if they make another, it's going to be DMC5, and it's going to feature the old Dante, and it's going to play the same, and the fans will love it, and I'm just playing the same game over again.
Yeah, I'm actually gonna miss the other Dante. There were things that the new Dante did that I thought were a little dickish. Like, he finds out that and I thought this was a little dumb. There was an energy drink that the demons use to
it's called Slurm.
Slurm, and I was like, okay,
no, it's not. That's Futurama. It's called Virillium. Awesome. Or virility is what it's called, because it's like agility.
And I was like, okay, fine. It should have been like, you're holding it. He asked Virgil. He said, he's like, so how do they keep him in line? And he says, you're holding it. It should have been, like anything, like material purchases or something like that. That'd have made sense. Instead, it's like, no, it's specifically that energy drink. I'm like, come on.
Well, I think the scene most people refer to when they think of that is the scene where him and Kat are walking to the factory, and there's a guy drinking it, and Dante just takes out his hand and says, that shit'll kill you, and just kind of smiles at him.
I hate that shit.
And I think...
I know. You sound like such a punk when you do that.
I'm like,
but
dude,
that,
you are
I
such
think it
a
kind of served
asshole.
like that, and like I think it kind of served as like part of the commentary they were doing with that, because there was all kinds of commentary on like Fox News and all kinds of crazy pop culture and bullshit.
Yeah. I mean, that guy was it supposed to be Bill O'Reilly? Was that the joke?
It's
pretty much.
It's Bill O'Reilly. In fact, in the boss fight, he even says, "We'll do it live." He's like, "Let's do it live."
Yeah. But I mean, like,
really
that
funny.
whole game is full of social commentary between that, the virility, the very end, is where he's like, where Mundus is like, humans can't control themselves, they need order.
Well, I'm not against social commentary, a lot of it was just pretty awkward.
It worked in some cases, but only in the ones where it didn't take itself seriously.
Yeah.
Towards the end, where it tried to play it off straight, it didn't work out.
I was just gonna say, like, so, like, the angle with the energy drink stuff, like, I think that was still kind of like a good way to play it, simply because, you know, you look at like people who, you know, whether it's fucking Starbucks or like, you know, how many people I see fucking have a can of Monster like all the time, or Red Bull, or like they always feel like they need fucking something to get them going.
I mean,
they can't do anything without it.
I drink energy drinks all the time, but my thing was, okay, fine, you want to add the energy drinks? It should have been material purposes. Like, it should have been like a bunch of stuff. Instead, it was like, nah, it's just the energy drink, and it's specifically that brand of energy drink. I'm like,
well, it's because it came from a specific demon. If they had like a 20-hour game, they probably could have had multiple demons controlling multiple aspects of society.
Yeah, I liked when you're in limbo and it goes for like that they live aspect where on the wall it's like gluttony is good and stuff like that, like spend money. Like I liked that. That was really cool. But
I think there's a great line though when you just speaking about social commentary where you hear like a PA system as they're going up an escalator in the factory, and it's like virility will help, like it was like help improve your heart rate, and it went like a couple things, and it was like also it's sexual prowess by 60%, and Dawson just kind of like laughs, and he's like, do people really believe this? And I don't like the line where Kat says, you know, just is really deadpan serious, like if you tell someone a lie enough, they'll believe it. But like before, like that split second before she says that, I thought it was just kind of a funny joke about like, yeah, we have this real problem where people just constantly tell you shit, and then people have this idea, like Chris said, with like Starbucks, where they feel they need this even though they probably don't. Yeah. And they just convince themselves that they can work their lives around this.
Yeah. Like, for me personally, I hate the taste of coffee. Like, just flat out. And I can't, and energy drinks are usually too sweet for me.
But I know so those are like not my do their day without coffee.
I like Starbucks coffee just because I like that foofy shit, as my dad calls it. My dad does not. My dad drinks it. My dad's military. Nice. He drinks that shit black. He drinks He drinks the heaviest stuff. I'm like, do you want sugar? He's like, no, I'm not fucking gay. I'm like, oh, okay.
Because for me, all the cream and sugar in the world can't get me to drink a cup of coffee. Because if I because it's either not sweet enough or too sweet for me.
Yeah, I'm like, I'm gonna take sugar. I'm gonna
I think we're getting off track here.
Yes, we are.
Anyway, that's all I played for this week. So let's move on.
So Garret.
Yes.
How's your week been?
Did you do anything?
I went to ECGC, which is the East Coast Gaming Conference.
How was that?
Right.
That was actually really fun. That was I'm trying to think exactly what, but we went to that. It was basically like going to college, but in the city, which I was like, oh, thank God, city. But so it was the conference was we went and talked to a BioWare director. He worked on Dragon Age Inquisition.
Oh.
Wow.
And I got pictures with him, which was really cool. We were talking to him about the game.
Did you ask him about
the game? Yeah, I asked him about how.
Did you ask him about the
That's
Hinterlands?
only
what did you
awkward in
ask him about?
context of the fact that that's only awkward because I just released a Dragon Age Inquisition article today that criticized the shit out of that game.
Really? He was like, we won Game of the fucking Year, and this is how we did it. And
I mean, it's
damn.
not a bad game. It's a good game. It's just it does some things that I really don't like.
It's just the Hinterlands should have been nuked off the face of the earth.
No, it's not Mass Effect 3, for fuck's sake.
No, he was talking about
I just mean the Hinterlands.
He was talking about how they did item sharing and like all this stuff and the art direction, and he basically broke down the game, how they did it, why they did the things they did, and stuff like that, and that it was really cool. And then I was able to talk to him at the end. A lot of people brought Dragon Age Inquisition, and he was signing them.
Did anyone ask about the goddamn Hinterlands?
Yes, and he actually poked fun at that. He's like, we probably should have made that like. There are moments where we will go in and we'll see people just kind of sitting around that spot, and we say, "Look, move on," and they don't do it because no one knows to. Yeah. He's like, "Oops."
So when he said people signed copies of their Inquisition, did someone like bring in their computer and go, "I have it on Origin, sign this"? Just bring their whole desktop with him.
No, I was like, because I have it on Origin, and I was like, okay, so I guess this. What should I do? How should I?
Just get a piece of paper, have him sign it, then stick it on your monitor.
Yeah, I was like, can you sign my laptop, please? But,
yeah.
Can you sign my Origin account? But so there were actually quite a few people in that same situation. They were like, I'm just gonna, I don't know. But we talked to I can't remember the guy's name, but he wrote the Fallout games, all of them. He wrote the Fallout games. He's writing. He wrote Planescape Torment. He wrote
Chris Avellone.
Yes.
Oh yeah, Chris Avellone.
Wait, hang on. I have his card.
Was it J.E. Sawyer?
Hang on, I have his card.
I know who Chris Avellone is. I don't know.
Yeah, it was Chris Avellone.
Yeah.
You're right. Yep, Chris Avellone, creative director of Obsidian
I
Entertainment.
know my old school RPGs.
Yep. Yeah,
because one thing Brandon knows.
Because I have his I have his card. I have a bunch of cards actually.
I tend to be the RPG guy in my friend circle, and I'm totally okay with that.
I asked him like how he got into writing. I talked to him. I took a picture with him, and I got his autograph, and I gave it to my brother because my brother fucking the Fallout
That man
games.
is a very skilled writer, definitely.
Mm-hmm.
The very my brother. I like to joke with my brother because he loves apocalyptic settings, and I always joke with him like, yeah, it's because you're Catholic, but and he's like, no, okay, maybe, but no. So he loves the apocalyptic settings, and so he loves Fallout, and it's Fallout 3 is actually his favorite, one of his favorite games of all time. So I was able to get the autograph, and I just gave it to Dylan. Dylan was so fucking happy. He actually has it framed now. But that guy was really funny when we were just talking to him about gaming, and then I was talking to a bunch of Epic Entertainment people and talking to them about how they got into their job and how you can get into the career. So it was I pretty much went to a bunch of narrative classes. Narrative was writing, then you had art direction, which was art, and programming and stuff like that. So I pretty much always went to the narrative stuff, and I made it a habit. I said I'm going to when they ask are there any questions I'm going to take a fuckload of notes, and I would text myself the notes. And so I ended up texting myself every single time. My text would be so long it became an MMS format. And
I would have brought a notebook with me.
I was thinking about it, but I was like, screw it. But so I noticed people would attend these lectures and then browse Facebook.
Wait, what?
That doesn't surprise me, knowing because I'm a college student. People pay to attend college, and they still watch fucking Facebook the whole time. It's amazing, honestly.
Yeah. It was.
Sorry about that.
It was weird, but so Yeah, people would just show up to these things, and I was like, so what's the point? Why not walk around and play Unreal Tournament? Because they had that playing.
So how many people were there? Was this like a couple hundred or 1,000?
It was a couple hundred. I have a picture of people swarming. The Ubisoft, Ubisoft had a booth, and they were giving away free stuff.
Of course, they're always giving away free stuff and this kind of stuff. That's why I want to go to one of these things eventually.
What a Ubisoft tactic, right there.
Well, they weren't just giving stuff away. You paid $5 for a raffle ticket, and that money went to Child's Play. And when you paid for the raffle ticket, and then they did a raffle, and you'd win stuff. And I had a friend who was so pissed. He was like, I want to win something. I don't care what. And apparently he actually totally cared, because he won Assassin's Creed 3 and Assassin's Creed Black Flag, not the game, just the special edition 10 cases.
I have the 10 case for Assassin's Creed 3.
And he was so pissed. He's like, I just won these fucking cases. I'm like, dude, I'll take them. Shut up. I actually won. They had a pagan Min statue, and it looked awesome. I was like, I want it. And he's like, if I win it, I'm keeping it. I'm like, no,
that would be a good thing. That would be a good little display piece.
Yes, I was like,
I will admit this though, to your brother's credit. If I won anything with Assassin's Creed 3, I'd probably be a little bummed too.
Yeah. Oh no, it wasn't my brother. It was my friend Sam. But
still.
See, Sam always fucking things up every single time.
I know. Assassin's Creed follows me everywhere.
But so we did that. And then what else were we doing? We did that. I have a picture though of just. I went on the top floor and took a picture down, and it's just a mob of people at this Ubisoft thing right before they were doing the.
You should post that shit on Twitter.
Yeah, it's weird. It looks like a cult or something. Like just a ton of people, and then shit.
Trying to provide some kind of subtle commentary on that.
People were playing the most popular games at our booth, because we were showcasing like what you'll be learning at our college doing our program, and the two most popular games were mine.
Oh man!
Congratulations!
Yeah. One game was one that I worked with on my own, and the other one was one that I worked with another friend of mine.
That is amazing.
Which was awesome. And there was this girl who was actually a volunteer at the place, and she was playing. She played my game that I worked with my friend for a little bit, and then she played the one that I worked with, and it was a group project. But she ended up playing that one. The one I worked with multiple people, and that one she played for about 2 hours until she beat it. We tried making like a Super Meat Boy clone. And she nonstop for like 2 hours. She was like, I have to fucking beat this game. And I felt so bad because the game. Yeah, I was like, I know what the game over screen is. You don't have to do this. She's like, no, I have to. The game over screen is you win, and coins fall from the sky. That's it. And she was so happy that she beat it. I was like, okay, you know what? As long as you're happy. And I was happy that she took interest in it. It wasn't the one that I worked with on my own, but at the same time, I think I
can understand her desire to want to do that, because it's not just what you get at the game over screen. It's the fact that you did do it, and now you
earned that game over screen.
Yeah. She is actually.
And you can tell people you did it.
I worked on that game. She's the first person to beat that game without like cheating. Like we had we added something into the game. Like if you collided with it, then we had something in the game. So if you did a collision with it, you could skip to different levels. It would make you go. You would go to the last room. And then when we were like, okay, good.
Shit there.
Yeah, we're like, okay, good. The rooms work. So let's take it out, and let's take that out. So now you have to play through the game. So she was the first person to beat that game without anything like that. There was it was my first time using VR, and that was amazing. The demo was awesome for that. And yeah, just a whole bunch of lectures. It was really cool going and talking to all these people. And yeah, so that was about it. So I played the new Unreal Tournament. I played a few other games. Yeah, that's been a lot of fun.
Tournament?
The new Unreal Tournament's very good. It's very polished. It's free if just download Unreal 4 client.
What?
And
it comes with the Unreal 4 engine thing.
Yeah, it's totally free, and the reason it's totally free is because it's all community stuff. Like the community makes the weapons, the community do everything.
It's basically a demo of the Unreal Engine.
I have to do this now. I have to fucking.
I mean, it's pretty rough, man, but I'd say give it a shot.
It costs nothing.
I downloaded it.
I got second place. So I won a button. I have so many goddamn buttons on my thing. I'm gonna stop talking about the ECGC. But we
Sounds like a lot of fun. I should go to one of those things.
It was really cool. I have videos. I've got pictures. One of the buttons that I got is a special edition penny, like the penny arcade, PINNY. Yeah, the little penny arcades. It's that, but it's the little Mr. Fizzy or whatever from Sunset Overdrive, the little energy drink mascot. It's him.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I got one for me, one for my brother, and then one for Kendall. I got 3, and then I went back and one friend was like, "Oh my god, where'd you get that?" And I showed him, and they were out, and they said, "Yeah, we'll restock tomorrow," and they never did.
Ooh, that sucks.
I'm like, I was contemplating giving him mine. He's like, "Nah, don't worry about it." And I was like, "Good, because I don't want to." I mean, I will, but I don't want to. But yeah, so that was a lot of fun. I also bought a game on writing for any medium. So I have it's writing for TV shows and movies and games. So that was a lot of fun. And what else? That was about it for that. Haven't really played a whole lot of games this week because I've been so busy at the ECGC and stuff like that. I did something that Kindle absolutely hates. He's like, "Why did you do that?" I bought a vape.
Oh yeah, those are popular now.
I'm very happy with my purchase. Oh my god!
I can't remember what a vape is. I know you told me before, but I forgot.
Electronic cigarettes.
Yeah. It's not an e-cig, but it's a you buy these. You go to a tobacco store and you buy these little liquid packets, and you pour it into the you pour it into the into like the boiler of the pipe, and then
he's doing drugs.
Yeah, you push the button and it boils the water and turns it into steam, and you inhale the steam, and it's flavored. I have one. It's this company called Ecto, so I bought the one called Ectoplasma, and it tastes.
Oh god!
It's really really good. It's like a weird like cherry vanilla kind of taste.
Real quick, Chris, you say you listen to the Bombcast, right?
Unfortunately, I haven't recently. But...
Okay, because they've talked about this at some point, and I remember this is related to vaping as far as the other week at my work, is Jeff at one point talked about the idea that people who vape tend to get really sort of pompous about it, like, "Oh yeah, it does like this many watts, and I got this crazy berry flavor, man."
Yeah.
Then I was like, wow, that sounds like a really weird caricature of someone who vapes. And then sure enough, when I went to work, 2 of my coworkers were talking about their wattage for like half an hour, and I was like, man, this is creepy. Just how into it you get.
I've seen that shit of like a job I worked at once. It was at least 4 fucking people all talking about their e-vapes,
like
and talking
all day.
Yeah.
I don't know a single person who has a vape or an e-cig at all. I don't know that kind of those. Kind
you
of
do now.
Yeah,
I mean,
I only talk about I don't talk about like the wattage and stuff like that. I think that's going a little too far. But I think I think like so like how much nicotine do you have? The guy said, yeah, this is like a cheap liquid, and you can and it's got some like a good amount of nicotine in it. It has the highest amount of nicotine that they have, which is hang on, let me look at it. It's 12 milligrams of nicotine in it. And he's like, how many cigarettes a day do you smoke? I was like, I don't know. I think a pack lasts me one pack will last me 2 weeks. He's like, oh, so you don't smoke a lot? I'm like, not really. He's like, oh, I shouldn't have given you that one.
Great.
So he's like, I should have given you like the 6 milligrams at most.
Rip
but
in
whatever.
Peace, Garret.
So I was in my car and vaping on the way home every once in a while, and then I came home.
It's everybody constantly.
Like I was like, okay, I'm gonna have like a cigarette's worth, and I would do like 6 puffs or something, and then put it away. And I came home, and my mom just goes, "Oh my god, have you been smoking pot?" Like, no, why? Like your eyes are so goddamn red. And I go into the bathroom, and holy shit,
Jesus.
my eyes were red.
Vaping culture is ruining America.
I was like, holy shit. She's
damn.
like, she was like, have you had beer? I'm like, no. She goes, have you been smoking pot? I'm like, no. She's like, did you get into some pills? I was like, no. She's like, Garret, you look high as shit. I got so scared. I was like, no, I haven't done anything. I just hid the vibrator in my room. I was like, I'm not doing that for the next day. So, but anyway.
What a weird fucking thing that is.
Yeah.
And I just see it constantly. all of a sudden.
And the thing is, like, in the town, like some of the towns where I live in one town, at least 3 different fucking vape shops have opened. Like, I'm not even joking.
I don't know, like, what's wrong with, if it's something wrong with my town or something wrong with your towns, but that just doesn't happen over here.
I mean, I live near Atlanta, so it's not surprising at all.
I live in Delaware, so I mean,
I'm not too surprised that all the people that I know personally who do vape stuff, they're all former smokers who say they don't smoke anymore, and I'm like, dude, you're still smoking, you're just smoking less.
Yeah, you're smoking less, it's safer.
But you're still smoking.
Also, as someone who's allergic to cigarette smoke, I just don't do a lot of that stuff by
just
default.
get right into vaping then. Just
I
get
don't do a lot of that
mountain
stuff
berry
just by
blast.
default because I have a nicotine allergy.
Oh, okay.
Fuck your lungs.
Yeah, you might not want to. Well, I mean, you can. You can get the stuff that has no nicotine in it. I could
just pass. Because honestly, I don't really have.
But
don't
you want to talk
that into my lifestyle?
Don't you want to talk about your wattages and how great your vape berry is?
That's so
the
weird.
2 things I know about vaping is wattages and berry. Like that's the only 2 words I hear.
Mine's kind of berry.
Yeah.
As soon as I walked in, I said, "Look, this is gonna sound really weird, but can I have something fruity?" He went, "Oh, it's not weird at all. I love the fruity stuff." And he gave me there's a fruit salad flavor. And then I was like,
fruit salad.
Well, that's the name of this week's podcast: fruit salad flavor.
Fruit salad flavor
vaping.
And then I was like, "Oh my god, this one's cotton candy flavored. There's bubblegum flavor. There was one just
sour flavor.
Bubblegum vape.
Sour apple. There was one that was just called Carnival.
What?
Any one of these flavors would be a good title for this week's episode.
Carnival.
Oh my god.
Carnival vape. You guys want to do some carnival vaping?
But
I heard Johnny died last week. Too much carnival vaping.
That almost sounds like a sex crime.
Sir, you are arrested on 3 counts of carnival vaping.
But
it's like, what does carnival vape taste like? Deep fried? Just
tastes like KFC, basically.
Only worse and more sugar.
I'm having way more fun than I really should have with this.
Yeah, just the vaping culture is sucking you in, Brandon.
But yes, other than going to ECGC and getting a vape and just kind of hanging out with Kendall, hanging out with friends. Other than that, not really much else has been going on. So I guess I'm done.
Great.
That's cool. So how's your week been, Brandon?
It's been pretty good.
You vape any?
I do not do any vaping. No vaping has occurred in my week.
Dude,
I'll look forward to next week when you start.
You gotta get the candy apple flavor.
But,
I wonder if that's what the carnival is like.
I did finish Final Fantasy III this week.
Nice.
Nice.
And that, I don't know what it is with RPGs. I'm not sure what it is, but they always fuck it up at the ending.
Uh-oh.
So I really enjoy that game just in general, but the reason I didn't like the final dungeon is because once you reach the top, once you beat the boss there, you enter a whole different dungeon, and once you enter it, the game locks you out of the overworld, which means you can't save at all. You are stuck in the final dungeon until you clear it.
Jeez.
Oh, shit.
So if you spend an hour reading all of the bosses, because it's like a boss rush kind of area, and then you get wiped in the final boss, you have lost an hour and you will never get it back.
Oh.
And that happened to me twice.
That is some shit.
That's some video games.
They don't give you an opportunity to save before the final boss.
No. This was from a pre-save point era.
It's funny. Sure I was going to say that, but then this was a re-release of that game.
Yeah,
and they still didn't do that.
No. So they're breaking the law somewhere. There's got to be something in some state.
Should be arrested.
So every fucking JRPG at least you put a fucking save point before the final fight.
Or some way you can get out of the dungeon so you can do grinding if you feel underpowered.
No, you have to fail for a fucking hour first, and then you can do it. Like, holy shit, that's.
And the worst part, there's 4 bosses before that, so you can beat all 4 of those bosses and then get wiped by the final boss, and you fucked because fuck you.
I wonder who just looked at RPGs and says, you know what we need to do at the end? 5 bosses.
And the worst part is, if you didn't know that was the case ahead of time, and you did the previous dungeon without going back out to the entrance and saving, you're double fucked.
Yeah, you will. That's one of those things.
Which happened to me the first time.
Like, I've had shit like that happen in some games where I make a good amount of progress, and through some fault of my own, maybe I didn't save, and then I find out I've lost like an hour of progress. I won't touch that game for like a week.
I mean, dude, that's the classic story of what happened with me in Persona 3 that I've told many times.
Yeah.
65 hours gone.
Oh.
You know, that
took me 10 years to pick up that game again. After
those first 2 party waves, I put the game down for like 3 days before finishing because I was getting really fucking sick of that game, but I did finally end up beating it, and I'm glad I did.
Now you never want to do it again, probably.
Yeah, can't wait till
the thing
next
is,
week.
like, aside from that, like, the game is really fun overall. I love job class systems. I really do. Like, I love the way that game plays because, like, the way I will have my party set up might not be the same as someone else has. So it's fun to talk about these kinds of setups that we each get and how they work and how they don't work and how we could improve upon our setups.
You know, I can't help but think of, like, of all the like Final Fantasy games, I seriously don't think there are many well-known characters that come from 3 specifically.
Well, that's because the main characters in 3 were nameless, faceless.
Yeah, I mean, much like Final Fantasy 1.
Yeah,
I remember.
It wasn't until the DS reboot they even had names.
And I remember with Dissidia, where they tried to have one from every game, it basically just became Final Fantasy 1 was the Warrior of Light, Final Fantasy 3 was the Onion Knight.
Yeah. Onion Knight.
They basically just picked a class because they had no defined characters.
Well, they picked the Onion Knight because that was the default class in Final Fantasy 3 in the original version.
So did you play an
the
Onion
DS
Knight?
version makes it the freelancer class instead, and you unlock the Onion Knight through some side quests.
Also, real quick, what version, or rather, what are you playing this on?
I played on the PS Vita. I played the PSP version, which is a port of the DS version.
Okay, that's what I thought it was. I might play it that way.
A port.
Yeah.
Does it have like proper widescreen use? I guess the 3DS technically was.
It does. Okay. It looked really nice.
All right, I might try it that way then.
Well, no, not the 3DS, but the original DS version, which I have.
Yeah, I remember when that came out.
That's why I meant the DS version, not the 3DS.
Yeah, but they ported that to the PSP, but you're able to play that on your Vita, so...
Yeah. That Vita, man. Play some games on it.
Port of course.
And it's still a very fun game, but I don't really have much to say beyond that little frustration I had with at the end. Because other than that, I had a really good time with the game. But the other game I played this week was Pillars of Eternity. Because one of my friends gifted me a copy because he wanted to support the game and needed some way to do that.
Yeah, like, I'd forgotten that. Like, I wasn't aware that was a Kickstarter until, like, after it was released.
Well, that was one of the original Kickstarter games.
Wow.
Yeah, it goes that far back to like the first Kickstarter rush when it was still Project Eternity.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that because I saw people mentioning it as Project Eternity, and I was like, "What are they talking about?" Oh right, because I got that confused with the JRPG being made by some famous Japanese developers, which has a similar title. I thought.
I don't know.
I don't remember. There's a lot of Kickstarters.
I know what you're talking about. I just don't know what that game's title is.
Yeah, I don't know. I can look it up.
And you think, as someone that really didn't like Baldur's Gate at all, I would be really mad at this game, but I'm actually having a really good time so far.
Granted, I think Baldur's Gate, of like the old time like isometric view PC RPGs, Baldur's Gate really was the one that kind of stuck out as like being the most challenging one. Like,
it's also unfair to compare it because it's like one of the first games that brought second edition D&D onto the computer.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, that hot second edition.
You know, second edition is a pretty awful system.
I'm sure some people say the same thing about fourth, but
yeah, I remember when fourth came out. I think I'm fifth now, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, it's Dungeons and Dragons next officially, but it's technically fifth edition.
Yeah, next.
Why would they stop counting? You're gonna have to go back to numbers eventually.
I don't know, and I don't care.
You can find you just find a subtitle with the starts with the letters R.
That's right. Dungeons and Dragons Resurrection.
Revelations.
Reborn.
Reverie.
But back to Pillars of Eternity, it does a lot of like really good interface things that once you you do them, you really can't go back to the old school way of doing it. Like, for example, the inventory in Pillars of Eternity is bottomless. You can have as much shit on your person as you want to have, which makes it a lot easier because you're not spending all this time tediously going back and forth from shop to dungeon to get all the items and get all the money from them. You can just keep them in your inventory. When you're ready to sell them, you can just sell them. It's fine. Unless you choose to enable limited inventory. That's your choice.
It's nice that they give people an option for that. Like, because I'm sure there are some people out there that's like, no, I need to have this in here.
As for me, I will never turn that on.
So, like, how far are you into this? Like,
I'm about 12 hours, which in RPG parlance is the equivalent to just getting near the end of Act 1.
You're like less than a quarter, like an eighth.
Yeah. Well, I am a level 4 character right now, and I've been told that the level cap in this game is 12.
Shit.
So that should be a good enough clue as to how far I am in the game.
That sounds pretty far, actually.
I just got my stronghold, and for those of you who don't know what the stronghold is, at a certain point in the game, you inherit a castle from a dying old man. And it's basically the Assassin's Creed renovation mechanics from Assassin's Creed 2.
Oh.
Except instead of having to go to your house, you can just go to the menu because your steward is spiritually bound to the castle, so you can just like telepathically connect to her and say, I want this done from anywhere in the world.
That sounds
so
convenient.
Instead of having to go back to the fort to do anything, you can just, say, hey, Stuart, I'm mentally linking with you. Build that thing that I want you to build.
Did you
that thing?
So did you have to seduce the dying old man to get him to let you
inherit
his castle?
Oh, is there any option to seduce him though?
Yeah, you have to kill him.
Can I kill him with seduction?
Do that.
No.
Damn.
You dirty old man.
Fuck it, won't buy it then. 0 out of 10. No seduction slider.
And the other thing they do is that, and they do have a health meter, but they also have what's called endurance. So it's like if you have an endurance during a fight, when you run out of endurance, you don't die. You get knocked out, and at that point, any hits that you get you'll take health damage. If you run out of health, you're dead.
Well, yeah.
And you're permanently dead, and you cannot be brought back to life.
Wait a minute. So, that's just how the game is? Like, there's no option for that? Or
you can set an option so that the first time that happens, you will be maimed instead of killed, and you'll be brought back at the end of the battle. But if you enable the option after you've been maimed once, the character cannot be maimed again. You'll go right to death if your health drops to 0.
You would have to reload a save, or...
Well, if it's an NPC, the character is lost forever, or if it's your main character, it's just game over.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say, you made it sound almost as if, like this game would force you to either start over or start from your previous save, which...
You can turn on Iron Man mode if you want to. I didn't.
But the idea, I do kind of like the idea with the NPCs, though, that it's kind of the Fire Emblem thing. You actually do kind of... But
you probably won't have that happen very often unless you're really shitty about resting. And because usually because once your endurance gets brought to 0 and you're knocked out, usually enemies won't target you anymore. Unless it's like an area of effect spell, which you just happen to be caught in the middle of. So usually your characters, when they're knocked out, they will survive the fight. Unless they were really low on health anyway. Because often you will take endurance damage and health damage at the same time. It'll take less health damage if you have endurance.
I always find the resting system kind of funny of you go, dudes are just walking through a castle, you go through a battle, it's like, okay, how are we doing? A little beat up? Alright, let's take a nap. It's right here. And then it's like, well, how long do you rest? For an hour. And it's like, alright, everybody have a good power nap? Alright, let's go next floor.
And the way they balance that, because if you rest, you get all your endurance and health back. So the way they balance that is that if you're resting outside of an inn or one of the, a bed or something, it costs you a campfire set.
Oh, so you can't just you can't
and you can only carry 6 campfire sets with you at the most.
I see.
So they limit you by saying that if you don't like go to hotels or go back to your stronghold to rest throughout your journey, you're going to use up campfire kits.
Almost like tents in Final Fantasy, but
pretty much.
Surprised I still fucking remember that.
So that's how they balance the fact that you get all your endurance back at the end of a battle with the fact that if you take too much health damage, you'll die.
So given like how you are, especially like your history of like Baldur's Gate, and really, I think that's like the only real. Well, no, I know you played like old Fallout games too.
Yes, and
like,
Planescape Torment.
Yeah, so like you
and I tried Neverwinter Nights, but I didn't really like that one either.
I don't recommend it. But for like somebody with your experience with like these kind of like old isometric RPGs, like how is this one holding your attention, or do you feel like you want to get through it, or is this something
I feel like I want to get through it? Like okay. I don't feel like I'm being compelled to against my will.
That's good.
I am legitimately enjoying my time. And like the one thing that I'm not sure if I like or not, I'm still debating that in my head, is that you do not gain experience from combat whatsoever.
It's from quests only, isn't it?
It is from completing quest objectives, yes.
Yep.
But you can also gain experience by discovering new locations and by filling out your bestiary. So like if you beat certain enemies, you don't gain experience for killing them, but you gain experience for filling out the codex entries on them.
I just
and
remember
then once you fill out the codex entry, you no longer get experience from beating those enemies.
Yeah, because I know that's like an old school D&D thing of like, doesn't matter how many monsters you kill, you can't grind. You would only get experience through completing a quest.
Yeah.
And originally when Dungeons and Dragons Online was released, that was also how they wanted to do it. Obviously so, but I don't know.
Yeah, and I do like that on this, in one sense, in that it disincentivizes the player from fighting pointless battles if they don't have to.
Yeah, like grinding is not a thing in this.
But on the other hand, it, like you said, it does mean that you can't really grind unless you go and go out and seek quests.
Yeah, I mean, to me, it's like when like a game wants to take that approach, like to where you're not supposed to be grinding per se, but you really have to be smart about how you approach battles.
Of course, I'm playing on easy mode, so it's not really a huge issue.
Of course,
because I don't care. When I play an RPG, I'm in it mostly for the story and the talky bits, and the combat is just something that I need to do to get through it most of the time. I will admit,
there are some games I would do that for, like fucking Persona 4. But
the combat isn't too bad here, but like I still don't think I want it any harder than I have it right now.
No, why not?
So I am enjoying that game. It's more pleasant than I expected it to be.
Is it any more friendly than games like Baldur's Gate and such for someone like me who has never played those games before?
You definitely learned a lot about modern interface design. For example, when you pick up in the old Baldur's Gate games, when you selected to pick up or like inspect a barrel in the field, you'd have to pick which one of your characters would do that, whereas in this game it'll just pick the closest character and have them automatically go to the barrel. I know this
that's some real technical shit you're talking about.
This sounds less revolutionary than it is.
No, I could tell you about some shit interfaces in some of these games, man. Fucking like, oh god, I want you to finish this up before you go any further, though.
And the other thing that I might have a problem with is that the AI for your player characters is pretty bad, in bordering on non-existent. Because while you're getting if you don't give them orders, they will do nothing. They will just sit there unless you give them something to do.
Yeah, like you
can
have
the
to
issue
be the one
where
to tell them.
It won't happen because you'll be too busy giving them orders to prevent this from happening more often than not. But you can have times where your party member is getting hit by this one guy, and you have a wizard just sitting there because you forgot to give him orders.
Yeah.
And you'll be like, and then you'll go, and then the guy's like, I'm fighting this guy, can you help me? And then the wizard's sitting there like, I wasn't given any orders. I don't know what to do.
Yeah. Oh, man.
So you have to pay attention as to what each member of your party is doing, because if you don't, you'll be like losing out on DPS or healing that you really can't afford to lose out on.
But I would imagine, like, if you have to have that much control over your party to give them orders what to do in battle, there's probably like an aspect where like you can
there
pause.
is like a whole host of auto pause options in like the options menu that you can totally customize to your play style.
That is good.
Like I have mine set to auto pause whenever one of my characters finishes using an ability, for example, so that I remember to reset them and give them a new task to do, so they don't have that kind of downtime that I was talking about earlier.
That is a good thing, though.
And even better, when it auto pauses, it tells you which character's ability has been finished, so that you know which one has time to issue a new command.
Yeah, but I can't. Like, you bring up like the interface design. Like, interfaces in old games were not always as intuitive as they are now.
Oh no, they were not.
Oh god, like I think like the recent example, like I remember some people like playing fucking System Shock 2 for the first time.
Oh,
like
God.
The interface is
Oh god.
Yeah, like the interface is not that great.
No, it isn't.
And
I hate System Shock 2.
How could you, Brandon?
I know for me, I had something like that happen once where, honest to God, the first real Command & Conquer game I ever played was Command & Conquer 3 Tiberium Wars, which, you know, a lot of people would say it's a good game. And then, some time ago, a friend of mine was like, hey, dude, I got the original Command & Conquer Red Alert. Like, oh, okay, yeah, I have that somewhere, because I have that crazy fucking Command & Conquer 10-year collection that I did.
Yeah.
And we loaded that up. Original Red Alert that came out like early to mid 90s, somewhere around that time frame. I had no idea what the fuck I was doing. I couldn't even figure out how to get my dudes to move. Like, right clicking and stuff was not really a thing back then. You had to use the fucking menu system that was in this game. Like, this is a real time strategy that has to use this shit. Like,
Yeah.
no idea what the fuck to do. Like, I'm sure once I learned it, I probably wouldn't have had too much trouble. I'm not saying all old games are bad, but man, does it make me appreciate how easy design has become in recent years.
And one other thing I find interesting about Pillars of Eternity is that in this game, for the most part, any class can use any piece of armor or weapon in the game, but like some classes will be better suited to some things than others. For example, you can have a wizard if you want in heavy plate mail, which is something that most RPGs won't let you do.
Mm-hmm.
And the way they balance that is by saying that, okay, you are very protected in this heavy plate mail, but at the same time, since it is very heavy, you can only make half as many actions. Like, because they have a delay bar between actions, and that's how they balance out weapons. So if you're wearing robes, they're light, so you can do a lot of things very quickly. Whereas if you're wearing heavy armor, then you really can't do a whole lot, because you have to move in heavy armor.
Yeah, like, I'm sure there are people that love the idea of I can make whatever character wear whatever I want, depending on however situation or playstyle that I choose. But granted, you're still going to have like those times where you want to equip characters with stuff that plays to their strengths.
Yes.
So what you guys are saying is it's like Dark Souls.
They're better off with the magic scepter.
You know what? It probably is like Dark Souls.
It sounds a lot like Dark Souls.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like a wizard, for example, you can use a sword if you want to, and you can even train them in swords. But they are probably better off if you wield a magic scepter.
Why wouldn't I just play Dark Souls at that point? What is the difference, Brandon?
Because
you don't have a party in Dark Souls.
Because it's very story rich.
I could have a party. I could summon some Sunbros and hang out.
Because Pillars of Eternity is very story rich.
You're saying Dark Souls isn't story rich?
Yes.
Oh god.
Making that definitive answer?
Yes. The survey said I'm correct.
Well, I'll certainly be looking forward to hearing like what your thoughts are on it, like after you eventually complete it. Because
it's probably gonna take a couple weeks to finish this. Because the thing is that I love these games, but I cannot play them for long stretches of time.
Yeah,
Well, you did it with Dragon Age, Brandon. You can do it again. I'll expect your in-game report by next week.
Oh god.
Read your 15-page article that I have to edit for it, I'm sure.
Hey, that last one was pretty good.
Yeah.
So, So moving right along, I've really only been playing one thing. Not really so much because of time, but like this really has been my time sink. So I've been playing more Dragon Ball Xenoverse, and I know I've talked about this before, so I'm not gonna get into every fucking detail about it. But man, so, like okay, so I completed the main story. I also did this thing where like after you beat the main story, there's these shards which unlock more story missions, which is like here's some more shit with Bardock and Brawley because everybody loves that shit, even though those characters are never really seen in like the main anime, so they're always treated like people love Bardock and Brawley, but they're not in like the main anime series, so we'll throw this shit in to like make references in their movies and stuff. So you got like stuff that ties into that. Like after you beat those, and the fucking level. Like I know this has probably been said by like anybody who plays this game, but the fucking level spiking and the story missions and everything sucks shit. Because
I think you said that every time we talk about Xenoverse.
Yeah, because it just puts up this wall of you can't get past this point until you grind, and then it's just a numbers game. Because playing the actual game itself is just button mashing, just fucking mash the shit. Get your skill, get your numbers up, and
get good.
Beat the fuckers up, and mash that X and Y, square, triangle. What have you?
Go original character, do not steal.
Just fucking.
It's just like Dark Souls.
Yeah, it's the fucking numbers game.
Sam, seriously, not every game is Dark Souls.
No, every game is Dark Souls. That time I went to QT, it was like Dark Souls.
No, trust me, it's not Dark Souls.
Persona 4 is Dark Souls.
God, yes. I want that game.
No, it is not Dark Souls. Because if it was Dark Souls, you would need some fucking skill. That is not the case with Xenoverse.
Dark Souls doesn't require any skill whatsoever.
Oh, shut up. But no, fucking, and the biggest piss off is that one of the like late game missions brings back something I absolutely fucking hate. And anybody who plays Xenoverse, or if you go out and watch like Let's Plays of this, like I've also been watching Team 4-Star, like they've been playing Xenoverse, and they've had the exact same fucking experience that I've had, to where anytime you run into an escort mission, God help you, because your chances of getting through that mission are not just how much you've been grinding.
Didn't we all agree that escort missions were to be phased out at the end of the the PS2 generation?
There are some games that do it right, but the ones that got it right did it by making the escort immortal. But the thing about this is that, because you would occasionally get missions to where, like, this dude has so much health. And you know what? I think I talked about this the last time when I talked about this, because there was that fucking mission with Krillin and Gohan, and everybody that has played this game has talked about how much of a fucking nightmare that is, and how long it took me to get
Raspberry.
So, there's another mission like that, where Bardock is in space, and you gotta keep him alive, which is just keep dudes off of him. It was such a pain in the ass, because, like, when I finished like the traditional like final boss, I guess you want to call it, I was only at like level 54, and like the max is 80 in this, and I went into that like final mission, I was like, okay, well maybe I'll get up to 60, and I still wasn't able to do it. Then I looked up some guides, and they're like, well, they recommend you get up to like 65 or higher. So I did that. I got up to like 67. I still couldn't fucking do it, and like hours before I went to bed last night, for like an hour, trying again and again, and I just said, fuck this. It was just RNG as shit. Because when I picked it up again this morning, I fucking did it in like one try. It was so dumb. It was so dumb.
Maybe once you slipped, you got more focused and you were able to do it better.
Well, not only that, but like the other thing is like it's just this whole thing of there's multiple enemies attacking you, which, by the way, the engine in this game is not meant for you to last when multiple dudes are coming, because there are a lot of times where I'll exploit this engine and just lame out boss battles where, like, yep, you can't get up if I just keep juggling you like this. But the problem is that also works on you, where NPCs would do that to you, and you just get fucked because they juggled your ass. There's so much like cheesy shit in this game, but like I said, I sometimes use that cheesy shit to my advantage. But yeah, it's like I got through that fucking mission, and oh my god, I never want to do that again. And like got to level 80, and But the thing was, after I got past that wall, I just wanted to keep grinding for shit because now I can unlock moves and I can create other characters. And by the way, I love how this game handles when you make other characters, because let's say you want to start playing with other races and stuff. Any missions that you've completed with your original character or anything you have unlocked, your subsequent characters can use that stuff.
Sweet.
So theoretically, if you want to like grind your new character like, you know, way up as fast, there are some missions you can like cheese and lame out to where it's like you're not supposed to do this mission until you're level 40, but you can take your level 1 character in there, speed run it real quick, and just level them up like 15 times in one go. Just stupid shit like that. But oh my god, I mean, and I think the reason I keep coming back to it is because it is the carrot on the stick of, you grind this mission enough, you can get this really super awesome energy blast move. It's like, yeah, I want that, or yeah, I want this outfit.
You want to get Super Saiyan God Goku.
Yeah, it's mostly the carrot on the stick. Because it sure as hell ain't game feel. I will tell you that much. Because the game feel in this is not that great. It's... Well, actually, no, I take that back.
It has bad kinesthetics.
Well, the game feel is okay, actually. I mean, it's basically a brawler. You know, like I said, you go in and button mash, and, you know, some of the super moves and stuff are cool, but the big motivation is the carrot on a stick. And I can firmly say, like, after getting through all this shit, that, yeah, I still don't recommend it to anybody other than fans. Have some friends to play with, because if you're going to do those side missions, get some fucking friends, and it's a lot more fun. It's, you know, it's like Resident Evil 6.
So, you guys saying Textpop plays Dragon Ball Xenoverse?
Sure, why not?
Never.
Yeah!
But then again, it's like you can't do the story missions like that though. You can only do the side missions.
But how kinesthetically pleasing is the game?
What is that word even?
How does it feel? How's it feel? Does it feel like Dark Souls?
God no.
Well then, fuck it.
Yeah, it feels like the Tenkaichi games, which I was not too big of a fan of.
I hated those, honestly.
Yeah, that's basically what you're in for.
Once
when you
Tenkaichi started, I stopped buying DBC games.
Yeah, you would not be blamed.
They got a lot worse, actually.
Mm-hmm.
If you believe it.
I do.
Yeah. It's probably something I'm gonna pick up when it goes on sale. I heard they made some pretty good PSP Budokai games, but I didn't get them. I thought they made like 2.
Yeah, they did. I own both of them.
Yeah. But yeah, I'll probably pick up Xenoverse at some point when it goes on like Steam Summer Sale, and it's like like 20% off.
Yeah, I'm not paying full price for that game.
No,
well, it's not even like full price so much as just I have so much shit I want to play right now, and just to play something that I only have interest in the universe, but not really the gameplay.
Yeah,
it's not something I want to put at the forefront.
Yeah, because I will say that some of the other areas where this shines is like the production value is through the roof on this, because the fact that they recorded like dialogue for characters that acknowledge the fact of the race you're playing, like because I played a Namek, so like everybody kind of points that out. Like,
I can't wait to see how people react when you play as a Frieza race.
yeah, I'm almost interested to do that. Although what's funny is like the Frieza race that's kind of like one of the more difficult character races to play as, because the way their stats are and what abilities they have. I'm not going to get into it. Just I do like that, as well as like some of the new like anime scenes and stuff that are in here, like stuff they made specifically for this game. I think is really cool. And you know, anybody who are like fans of Battle of the Gods, there's more stuff with Beerus, which I fucking loved. Once again, if Beerus was there, I was loving it. I was like, yep, I want to see more of this. I love that shit. And you know, and like they came up with original characters for this that I thought were okay.
Do not steal.
Yeah.
No, I stole it. I stole it. I reblogged it on my Tumblr. I drew it on DeviantArt.
Oh, damn it.
You should have said do not steal, man. I had to take it.
Yeah,
I got my new character out named Freezer. He's totally unique. Do not take him.
Fuck you. I'm going to make a Frieza class, and I'm going to call him Thaw.
I'm just going to make a character called Atari.
Already did that.
I'm going to call him
don't steal my character, Chris.
I want to call my character Defrost.
Can I just make
Damn it, that's a good idea.
Can I just make a character that's just Ice Cube the actor?
Vanilla Ice.
We're gonna have Vanilla Ice, Ice Cube, Defrost, and Freezer all play.
And Ice Tea.
Fuck, I was gonna say that.
What a great selection of characters to save the world.
We're gonna have Vanilla Ice, Ice Cube, and Iced Tea.
I still love that in the fucking quick look, Vina Caravella called his character Pinto Bean, and I was like, that's so great.
The funny thing is, given how silly some of the character names are in Dragon Ball, it totally makes sense.
Yes.
Fucking Raditz, just all this like food-based names.
There's a guy named Raspberry.
Like,
that's a pretty good name.
Guy named, like that's why I named my Namek character fucking Sitar, because it's an instrument. And at the same time, I could totally see that being a character in Dragon Ball.
I'd believe it.
Yes.
If you told me there was one in there, I'd probably say, yeah, sure, I remember that episode that one time. Fucking Sitar showed up.
Yep.
I'll make my character mentored by Hercule.
Don't you mean Dr. Satin?
Mr. Satin.
No, Mr. Satin.
He's not
Dr. Satin. Not Doctor. Not yet, anyway.
No.
That's the event of Dragon Ball GT.
He has a medical degree in pain.
It's Dragon Ball GT. Nobody watched it, but he became a doctor in that series.
It's saving the world.
Oh, god damn it.
I remember towards the end of the series, Hercule was all like, you know what, screw it, these guys got it, I don't really need to be here.
Well, it was that time where he had like the jetpack and all that, and he was going to be like super cool, and then he's like, fuck it.
You notice he had a jetpack in every single DBZ game?
Yeah, because
it's the only way his character could work in that series.
Yes.
But here's a funny thing though, now that we've gotten onto it, like fucking Hercule, I'm sure, it's easy to laugh at him and say that he's nothing compared to like,
when you compare him to a normal guy, he's super strong. Just when
I'm pretty sure he is. It's like,
well, the first time you see him in the show, he's carrying trucks with his back.
Well, I remember they actually have a specific scene in like during the tournament where they're doing punching bags, and I believe that's when they tried to prove that it's like, here's a normal fighter, here's Hercule, and he was like, oh, look how good my punch is, and then I think it was like Goku punched just a little bit harder because he told him not to show their powers, and Vegeta punched the bag off the railing. It. Yeah, and then Trunks did it as a kid, and he was like, oh my god.
And it's like,
compared to one person, he's like superhumanly strong. When you compare him to like superhumanly strong
people not of this planet,
it's not even fair.
But like that was
he
the
had
thing.
to train so hard.
And this was something that, like, I had...
Hercules, a tragic figure in this universe.
Yeah, kind of going back... But, like, something I'd kind of thought of when I was watching the Team 4-Star guys play it was that they brought up this point of, like, how strong would Hercule be versus, like, some of the villains that were in, like, original Dragon Ball. Like, I don't know, fucking, like, Colonel Blue or,
probably
like, whatever they were.
Tough.
Yeah, like, he could probably stand up to those dudes.
And even better, it gives him a good reason, because, like, in the lore, they always attribute all of the heroic victories to Hercule, because otherwise it would not make any sense for these other characters to, like, take credit for beating Cell. But it's totally in character for Hercule to do that.
Yeah.
And eventually the guys just say, you know what, let's say Hercule did it, why not?
You guys are making me want to watch Dragon Ball Z again.
I don't.
No, you don't. What you want to do is you want to watch an abridged version of Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah, but not
actually, what I want to do is I want to fucking put in Battle of the Gods and watch that fight scene again and watch more stuff with Beerus.
On my wish list, I have a couple Blu-rays of the film, so maybe I'll just order like the Broly series or something like that and watch those.
Because if you remember the old show, was a lot of it was just like episodes of whole episodes of two people staring at each other.
Yeah, because
we only remember the best parts, really.
Whereas someone else in the background was talking to somebody else while the two of them were just staring at each other.
Yeah, because like a fight took like what, 2 years? Just.
I mean, the infamous one is always
Dragon
the
Ball
fucking
universe. A 5-minute fight takes about 2 episodes.
Well, the one that I always remember is the final fight between Kid Buu and Goku that takes, like, I don't know, like 6 to 10 episodes or something like that.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's like, Christ almighty, man.
Like, it's like you go to YouTube and you, like, look up, like, I don't know, like, fucking Gohan versus Cell full fight, and it's like a 2-hour video.
You have
somebody,
not
like, spliced
seen
together.
filler until you have watched a season of Dragon Ball Z.
Oh, shit.
Because really, when you think about it, the plot is really simple. X goes to fight Y, and then in response, Y goes to fight Z, and then in response, Z goes to fight another Z.
No, man, Z goes to fight GT. Get it right. Come on, get your fucking Dragon Ball legacy.
That's literally like the entire plot to any season is
someone
goes to fight somebody, and in response, someone else fights somebody else.
GT got really fucking weird at the end.
Well, it's because Toriyama had nothing to do with it. It was like...
Yeah.
Because nobody cared at that point.
Do you guys remember Baby? That was the whole villain. He took over Vegeta. Because,
I remember I remember seeing like action figures and stuff in the store, or like Baby Vegeta. I'm like, what the fuck?
He doesn't look like a baby at all.
So it's like, that's why I don't watch it. But, and I'm sure we could be on this all day. But
welcome to the Dragon Ball cast, starting now.
God. I think this will probably be a good place to call it. So, if any of our listeners have need to talk better. If any of our listeners, you want to say something about any of the stuff that we were saying, make sure to comment below. Let us know what you think about any of the shit that we've been playing.
Tell us your radical opinions about Dragon Ball Z.
Or Pillars of Eternity, or ECG, all this good stuff. And of course, like I said, want to ask us questions, you can do so on Twitter at TheTexturePop. Maybe leave us some comments, or email us at TheTexturePop@gmail.com, which you can find in the description. And of course,
before we close out on the podcast, I have a couple of announcements to make regarding my my blog. If you don't mind.
Yes.
How the fuck dare you?
Two things. First is that I have my Dragon Age Inquisition article dropped today as the time of the recording, so it shows it's already going to be up by the time this podcast goes up. And then I talk about how Dragon Age Inquisition has a different sort of game design philosophy that's focused more on shorter content. Doesn't have a whole lot of depth to it, and I talk about the consequences of that design philosophy in the article. Excuse me. And the other big announcement is that for the longest time on my blog, I basically stuck to the blogger comment system because I have a blogger-powered blog, unlike WordPress. And Blogger's comment system is garbage. And the reason for that is that if you don't fill in all of the required boxes when you make a blogger comment, the site will basically eat your comment and pretend it never happened.
Oh, jeez.
So I've had many people talk to me about how they had paragraph-long comments and it just ate them up, and they had no desire to retype all that. And I can't say I blame them.
Nope.
And for the longest time, I let that go. But now I had decided to uproot that comment system and replace it with Discuss on my blog to hopefully make commenting a little easier on people. And I've already started getting some comments now than I never had before. So far so good. Hopefully that will keep up. But I just wanted to announce that to the rest of the 10 people listening to this podcast.
Hey, that's more people than look at my blog.
So that if they do want to comment on any posts from now on, they should be able to have a much easier time doing it with Discuss than they did with Blogger. And all the old comments just transfer right over to the new comment system, no problem. So I didn't have any trouble there.
Yep.
All right, then.
And of course, as always, you can find links to both Brandon's and Sam's site at the description below. And unless anybody else has anything to plug.
Let's Plays possibly starting soon from us, and Interactive Friction is about to end Season 2.
And we'll eventually move on to Season 3. We're probably going to take a break in the middle first.
I really need a break.
I think we all need a break. But
yeah.
But of course,
and I can't wait to announce what the new season is going to be. It's going to be so exciting. It's / awful.
Oh,
glad
God.
I'm not the only one that thought of that.
Yeah, I'm still working on that trailer. It's something.
But of course, and hey, if you guys like us, make sure you can click the like button. There's one right there. You can click it right below.
You like, comment, subscribe to the channel, and like, comment, subscribe to Interactive Friction, and like, comment, subscribe my personal channel, and like, comment, subscribe Brandon's blog, and like, comment, subscribe my blog. If you choose not to subscribe
to us, Sam frowns every time we do that, and you don't want Sam to frown.
Jesus.
Because he makes this little pouty face that's kind of like puppy doggish.
That is so funny that you say that, because I have an anime wallpaper with someone doing that right now.
Oh.
And every time you do that, he looks at anime wallpaper and then tries to mimic that.
Do you want Sam to get more anime wallpapers?
You personally feel bad. And I hope you're happy if you don't subscribe.
Do you want Sam to get more anime wallpapers? Then don't subscribe. Do you want to save him?
So with that,
he will get a brand new anime wallpaper for every time you don't subscribe to our channel.
So that's gonna do it for this week. Thanks everybody for listening, and hope to see you next week on another episode of the Texture Pop Podcast. Later.
Bye,
Later,
everybody.
Bye.
The fuck is this shit?